Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
All right, so we will talk to Dylan next. See if I can bring Dylan up. Hi, Dylan, you're on the line. What would you like to talk about today?
Hello. So I have it written down, if that's okay to read it out, because I feel it's better to read stuff.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just going to on speaker for a second, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the question, it just hit me, it was like, oh, I have to write it down because I have a ADHD brain and I would totally forget it.
That completely makes sense.
The question is there a good way as a therapist to respect someone's religious freedom of expression while also not feeding into possible delusion?
Oh, that's a really good question. I feel like this one might be for me too. Unless you have some insight regarding therapy strategies, right?
I actually was, because when it popped in my head, I was like, oh, I feel like I should only really call in if Shannon comes on, because I feel like that's more of a question you would be best to answer.
Well, I'm happy that you feel that way. First, I'd like to open by saying that I am not now, nor have I ever been a therapist or trained to be a therapist. That's not the type of psychology that I ended up focusing on. I studied cognition, perceptual cognition, communication theory, those types of things. But through the course of my studies and things that interest me, I have a great interest in therapy. So I have some insight. I just want you to know going in that I am not a therapist. It's really important ethically that I state that outright. So when it comes to respecting people's religious beliefs, sorry, go ahead, honey.
Oh, I was like, yeah, because I remember you mentioned you have a deep passion for psychology, and studying it in your free time.
Yes, and I have a degree. I also have a degree in psychology. I'm just not a therapist. There's all kinds of different fields of psychology, but I'm not a therapist. So when it comes to respecting people's religious beliefs in a therapeutic setting, the same things hold true regardless of what you're religious or if you have no religious belief. In a therapeutic setting, it is not your job to tell a person what they should think. It's your job to guide them through more organized and healthy patterns of thought. So if you do that and it leads them either into or out of a religion, then so be it. But what you cannot do is tell them that believing X is good, believing Y is bad in regards to their faith. You just can't, or regards to their no faith. If somebody brings up that they have a faith, let's say, so let's say that they're Christian, right? So you're in a therapeutic environment and you're a Christian. If you say, I believe in God, the therapist's response shouldn't be, well, why do you believe in God? Like, you're not in an epistemological setting where somebody's trying to probe you to get to the base of why you believe things. They want to know what that belief does in relation to you and how you feel about yourself and how you interact with and engage in the world and whether or not that is healthy. So if somebody brings up that they're a person of faith, a therapist would say, okay, well, how do you feel about that? How does it relate to you? Do you feel it's positive or negative? And guide you through how to deal with the emotions that you have surrounding that, if it even pertains to why you're there to begin with. Because you could be there for myriad reasons that your faith never factors into. If you are there because you have damage as a result of faith, without attempting to deconvert somebody, because they never should attempt to deconvert or convert in a therapeutic setting. That is not their job. That is not their place. You need to be able to try to figure out how the damage pertains to them and how they can move forward from it and avoid what caused it or deal with the triggers that caused it. I don't know if that's super clear, but essentially what I'm saying is it's not a therapist's job to either deconvert, reconvert, or convert anybody in a therapeutic setting. It's their job to help them have, like I said before, more healthy and organized behavioral thought and emotional patterns. And it may or may not factor into that. Did anything that I know that was a stream of consciousness, but did anything that I said even almost make sense, Dylan?
Yeah. I was just more on the line of possible. I don't know if delusions is the right word. More almost like a confirmation bias of I read in my horoscope that blah 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 was going to happen today. Obviously, it happened today while conversing with a therapist in that setting.
If I could maybe try and reinterpret what Shannon just said from my perspective as someone who has zero experience with this sort of thing, what I kind of got from that is that going to therapy is more about helping you process your emotions, not so much dealing with your beliefs. Like they shouldn't be doing anything to impact your belief structure. They're just helping you process whatever emotions you are seeing them about. Okay. That's my understanding.
Yeah, that's. I said that in way more words. That was much more succinct than what I said. So I appreciate that.
But I wouldn't have been able to say that without your words.
That's what I should have said.
No,
but when it comes to somebody
you're fine.
To answer the question, the question that you just asked regarding like if somebody says, "Well, I saw this in my horoscope today, and of course it happened." The therapist's job isn't to say, "Well, believing in horoscopes is silly. Why would you believe in horoscopes?" They would ask, okay, well, why is that important to you? Why do you feel as though reading the horoscope is important to you? Have there ever been an instance where you were disappointed as a result of a horoscope not coming true? What do you do in those situations? Like, how does that affect you when that happens? What do you do to deal with it? It's very different than, and I know from our perspective where we're constantly engaging in the is this true game. You're in a very sort of different environment when you're in the therapeutic environment. You're not trying to figure out whether or not what you believe is, the best, most solid version of epistemic reality. It's what is what you believe doing to you? How is it affecting you? How is it affecting your relationships? How is it affecting your behavior? So there's a very different type of question set that you would be utilizing in that environment. Make sense?
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
I thought it would be a neat question to try and discuss because I was literally on a car ride with my sibling and I just was like, it just popped in my head and I had to write it down.
Well, I'm glad you called. Is there anything that I said that seems like inconsistent with what you would think personally, or does that seem to make sense?
No, because I understand therapists shouldn't implement their personal bias against a patient.
Christian counselors. Sorry, I coughed. That was weird.
Sorry?
I just coughed Christian counselors because I think I'm funny.
Oh, you remember when we took over Paul's channel and we talked about conversion therapy?
Yes.
That was fun.
And we yelled about. Well, I yelled. You talked. I was doing yelling. Yup. Yeah, because and that's an example of how that it's damaging to attempt to have a therapeutic setting where you're convincing people what to believe. When that's the focus of a therapeutic session, it's damaging. It should never be the focus of a therapeutic session. Either way, not your job, not your place, not why you're there. Make sense?
Alrighty. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Not a problem.
Thanks for
Appreciate you calling. See you later. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.